I picked up the Madhya Lila and started reading through it again. I think maybe outside of Brihat Bhagavatamritam, no, I think even more than Brihat Bhagavatamritam, Chaitanya Charitamrita is like the book I like to read the most. It's really full of nectar. So we will read about, we'll just start reading. So Kaviraj Goswami says that in the first chapter of the Madhya Lila, what he's going to attempt to do is give us synopsis of the Lord's later pastimes. And he says that the Adi Lila was nicely covered by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the incarnation of Srila Vyasadeva in Chaitanya Lila. And Kaviraj Goswami, he also wrote the Adi Lila, or the beginning pastimes of beginning part of Lord Chaitanya's life. But he was very, very respectful. He said, I'm only just touching the remnants of the food that has been left by Vrindavan Das Thakur. And very, very respectful, not to try to overshadow in any way the writings of Srila Vrindavan Das. And he says that the Adi Lila, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes until while he was Grihastha, his childhood and his Grihastha life until he was 24. And then he says that the last 24 years of life are known as the Madhya Lila and the Antya Lila. And those pastimes cover Lord Chaitanya's walking through India and spreading the holy names after taking sannyas. And then the years which he resided in Jagannath Puri. We know that, or we have read, that when Sri Chaitanya Dev took sannyas, then he walked for 6 years. At least that's the account given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And every place he went, he just encouraged people to chant the holy names. And he encountered different people. He encountered Sarvabhauma, he encountered Ramananda Roy, he encountered so many folks. And for those who are of a very scholastic, erudite type mentality, Lord Chaitanya would present Shastra, and he would change their hearts by his erudition in Shastra. And then for the masses, he gave them Harinam. Now, Kaviraj Goswami says something interesting in one of these verses. He said that one of the main aspects of the Madhya Lila and the Antya Lila was that the devotees of Bengal, they would come down every year to relish pastimes with Lord Chaitanya during the time of the Rath Yatra. And so previously, and sort of in my miscalculation, I guess, I had considered that since he had walked, since his final pastimes were 24 years, and since it said that he walked for 6 years, that perhaps those 40 pastimes with, the devotees coming down took place only for 18 years. But he says in a verse that the association and the observance of the Jagannath Rath Yatra was something that went on for 20 consecutive years. So that apparently, even during the preliminary time, or after he first took sannyas, the Lord was there in Puri at the time of Rath Yatra, and the devotees would come and join him. And that was wonderful time because during that period, the Lord would give instruction to the devotees. He'd give everybody some shiksha. And Kaviraj Goswami explains here that at the end of the Rath Yatra performance and at the end of the rainy season, when all the devotees were leaving to go back home, each and every one of them would come and they would take some shiksha or some instruction from the Lord on how to conduct their devotional service for the next year. And the Lord Chaitanya would speak to each and every one of them and tell them something. It's just like that. There's that pastime somewhere where it describes the devotees of Srikanda, and they come to see the Lord before leaving. So Srikanda is on the other side of the Ganga from what we know as Mayapur. And there are famous Vaishnavas there. Mukunda Datta, he was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was the Kaviraj of Nawab Hussain Shah. He was a big person, big doctor. And he was a pure devotee. He was from Srikanda. And he had a son named Raghunandan. And he was a Param Vaishnava. He worshipped the deity with so much loyam, or intense eagerness, that the deity would just get down off of the altar and obey his command. You know, there's that story that Mukunda trained his son, Raghunandan, and then one day Mukunda left, and then he told his son, today you must do the puja. So the boy did everything exactly according to his father's instructions. And then at the end, his father had said, give him a big plate of fruit and give him good sweets and so forth and so on. So the boy did that, and then he said the prayers to offer the food, and he looked up and the food was still there. So then he started giving it to the Lord. And he started saying, eat. You know, you have to eat. You know, you're doing so many works, you have to eat. And basically, you know, just screaming at him, come, eat now. And because of that, the Lord got off the altar. And he ate. And he got back on the altar. And then when the father came home, he asked if everything went nicely, and the boy said yes, and he said, so please give me Mahaprasad. And the boy said, well, there's no Mahaprasad. And the father said, why? And he said, because the deity ate it all. And the father was a bit bewildered. And then the father saw, then the next day, he made an arrangement where he saw the son do it again. He laid some trap. But the boy did it again, the deity got off the altar and the father observed it. So, Mukunda, Raghunandan, and then Nahar Sarkar Thakur, he was from that place. So they would all, you know, there's an instance, they all came and they said, please give us an instruction that we can lead our lives by as we engage in Krishna consciousness. Give us some shiksha. And so Lord Chaitanya, he told Mukunda, he said, you gain material wealth, you increase your spiritual wealth. Because he knew as a pure devotee that if he increased, you know, his material opulence, he would certainly use that all in the service of the Lord. And he told Raghunandan, you always stay with the deities. You always worship the deities. And he told Nahari Sakar, he said, you always preach with the Vaishnavas. Or the devotees, they asked Lord Chaitanya, he said, what should I do? And Lord Chaitanya said, always serve the Vaishnavas. And the person said, well, I'm so fallen, I don't understand what a Vaishnava is. Can you define a Vaishnava? And Lord Chaitanya said, a person who chants the holy name even once purely, he is a Vaishnava. He served the people who were chanting the holy names. So, some shiksha would come, some instruction would come. That was a very integral and very important part of Chaitanya Lila. And then Kaviraj Goswami explains that later, for the last, I think he says 12 years, the Lord remained completely absorbed in ecstasy. And an interesting point that he makes is he says that during Lord Chaitanya's stay in Jagannath Puri, he said for all the years that he stayed in Puri, he always possessed the feeling of the